We're sorry, the number you have dialed is not in service at this time.
There we go. Audio is good. Audio is good. Good morning, everyone. Richard Taylor here. Monday morning sometimes takes a little longer to get going than you think. That's why I'm just a little bit late this morning. So NAB would have been happening this morning, but because of the virus, it didn't happen. So what I'm going to do today is revisit some of the NABs that I've been to, which have been the last three. Not obviously 2020 didn't happen, so we're not doing that one. But I was at 2017, 2018, and 2019. Let me just check one thing real quick. There we go. Audio is good. Audio is good. Good morning, everyone. Richard Taylor here. Monday morning sometimes takes a little longer to get going than you think. That's why I'm just a little bit late this morning. So NAB. Okay, just wanted to check, make sure the audio was good. It looks good on my end. The meter's showing it's good. It sounded good in the browser, whatever. So over the last three NABs, I have probably got 10 hours, maybe 15 hours of video that I taped over the last last three through 2019. So I'm going to play some clips today, some behind-the-scenes clips and things. And since we're not going to get to go live to NAB this year, but it'll give you a flavor of what used to go on, maybe give you a few. There's a couple of interesting quotes from Apple marketing. There's one specifically that I think will be very interesting to everyone. Let me see. Oh, first thing we have to do. This is the first thing we have to do. Check the App Store for any updates to Final Cut Pro. I don't see any. I don't see any updates. Zero. Final Cut Pro is not there. No updates to Final Cut Pro. So one of the discussions we've been having about Final Cut Pro, the next version that's going to be coming out, is what it's going to be called. Is it going to be called 10.5, as you might expect, considering we're at 10.4.8, or is it going to be called something else? Who in the heck knows? Who in the heck knows? Let me just check one more thing here. One more thing. So at this point, Final Cut Pro 10.4 is 28 months old. That's a long time for a full number update to Final Cut Pro. The counter over here is, of course, FCPRadio.com. I keep a counter counting up to when 10.5 comes out. But 10.4 is 28 months old at this point. 28 months, 2 years, 4 months, 6 days. So what do you think about that? 28-month-year-old Final Cut Pro. It's a long time. They're doing something, aren't they? They're not just giving us an incremental update with a couple of features. They're doing something. So let's see what we got here. I'm going to look over here at the look at my list of clips that I'm going to be playing. Here's one. First one I'm going to be playing is from 2017, just a little behind the scenes kind of thing. Let's play that one.
You turn that off, damn you.
No, that's gonna be the quote.
No webcamming out.
No, I'm not webcamming. I'm just recording.
Did you see? Okay, so Jeff Greenberg.
Yeah.
The guy. A really fun thing to do with Jeff is he sits down next to you. You go, Jeff, show me something on your iPhone. Oh, let me show you. Right? He always wants to know. We'll sit at dinner and it's like, okay, everybody, tell me what your new favorite app is on your iPhone.
So there we had Chris Fenwick, Bill Davis, and Sam Messman just goofing around at the Faster Together stage. They had the Faster Together stage at NAB 2017. And we have a bunch more of those, especially there's going to be one you're going to be particularly interested in from the Final Cut Pro marketing team. That will be coming up shortly. So one of the biggest things that we had at NAB every year was Blackmagic Design. I don't think they've made any further announcements from there. What do they have? They have a ATEM Mini Pro. They made the announcement. They should be announcing, if they haven't already, maybe they already have, they should be announcing Final Resolve 17 or Resolve 16.5 if they follow suit the way they have in the past at NAB doing things. Let me see something here. Outside. What else do we have to show you? So last year, this is an example. Last year we have to wait outside to go in order to get into the Blackmagic press conference.
So he becomes ugly. I'm not expecting you to know if looking forward to Resolve 16. I haven't really read much about it. 15, 20.
And then we got to go into the actual Blackmagic event. That's like the biggest event of NAB. When you first go into South Hall, they have the real big booth on the right-hand side. It takes up a whole lot of space. I think everybody said that used to be where Apple used to go. Let me just see one thing here. I'm just going to check a clip or two. That's for that. And then, let me just check this one out. Faster Together. We have some Faster Together things that are happening, of course. I'm just checking a couple things. So this is press entrance. Let me see if that's done. This is actually the press at the Blackmagic booth. I got a clip of the actual press this time. This is kind of behind the scenes kind of things.
There it is. And as you can see, we've got this character in the background. It turns out they had a script change, it happens, and it turns out they don't want to have that character in the background anymore. We need to get rid of him. So
this once again was from 2019, last year. Let me see. So do you have any questions? We're of course waiting on Final Cut Pro 10.5 or the next version of Final Cut, whatever that happens to be. I'm going to keep checking. Nothing's happening in the App Store at this point. Nothing yet. I also have to check a couple of other places. I got a couple of secret places that I check every once in a while. So we'll have to see if any of those pay off this time. Everybody's doing live streaming now. Live streaming this, live streaming that. Everybody wants to do something live. I started streaming 4 years ago. First thing I live streamed was the FCPX Creative Summit in 2016. That was the very first time that I did live streaming. Then I followed it up in 2017 with some of these clips that you're going to see from NAB, which I'm going to be playing them. Let's see. Just trying to pick a couple. Here's if you've never been to NAB, this is a couple of clips from outside. Actually, Brad was driving me around this year, and I was filming while I was in his car. Of course, we've all seen these. And then there's the monorail that drives you right up to the actual convention center. I found the monorail pretty cool. It's like it's driverless. It doesn't have any drivers, and it doesn't go that fast. And it's kind of a limited how it goes. It doesn't go very far. It just goes straight up and down the strip up. It goes past the NAB Convention Center, so that was interesting. So let's see what else we have. A couple more clips I'm going to show you. Here's one of my friend Brad Olson at the Super Meet. You guys know all about the Super Meet. Well, of course, the Super Meet was canceled this year along with everything else. There's no Super Meet whatsoever. I don't know if they're going to have something going on later or not. We'll have to see. There's some kind of a online NAB, I think it's called NAB Express, something like that. Something like that. So let me pull up that clip of Brad Olson at the Super Meet.
I just want to say, go out there, find your story. We need stories. We need to hear from more people. And I know that means that we're going to get a lot more noise. But the difference, I think, between now and, say, 20 years ago is even though there were tools then, it's so much more accessible, it's so much easier to get in, and it's so much easier to get a high-quality result. And I think that's why I'm such a big fan of tools like Final Cut Pro, because they embrace this idea of, let's get the tool out of the way and let people be creative and create. And that's what I found in the tool, and that's why I really enjoy it, using it. So yeah, go out there, find your story, share it with us, and share it with me. I want to see it. Thank you.
Brad Olson, everybody. Okay.
Of course, that was Mike Horton that introduced Brad. Mike is not involved with the Super Meet anymore, from what I understand. He's not involved with it. They had some kind of a parting of the ways, let's say. And outside, let me just check on a couple of things. So one of the people that I always enjoyed when I was at NAB is Michael Cioni. So this is a behind the scenes. This is the view you're not going to get from the formal videos. The formal videos have their shot, but I shoot behind the scenes a lot of times. So we have a couple of comments from Pauline, Justine, Paula, Robillard. Keep hoping for something, cannot understand nothing whilst under lockdown. Would have brought the twins training the second it came out. The twins, I think she means Mark Spencer and Steve Martin. I never heard him called the twins before over at Ripple. Of course, the first day a new version of Final Cut drops, they're going to have training ready, if I presume. Although there's other things, some behind-the-scenes things that I know of that I can't talk about. We'll have to see how that plays out. Still have this nagging dialogue in the back of my head. FCPX is canceled until news breaks. Hard to silence that voice. Well, that's a voice that I absolutely do not believe in. I absolutely don't believe that. I think a new version is imminent. If it doesn't come out before WWDC, maybe WWDC, who knows? Have to see. I absolutely don't believe that. I think a new version is... Just checking on my audio there. So who thinks that if Final Cut's 10.5 is going to be called 10.5, or is it going to be called something else? When Michael Cioni was on my radio show, he suggested Apple might consider naming it something else to get rid of the FCPX moniker. So that was an interesting suggestion. I never heard suggested before that. But we'll have to see. I mean, 10.5 certainly is coming out in 2020. Whether it's going to come out the first half by WWDC or the second half, it's not coming out July and August. Those are dead months for software updates, that's for sure. So it won't be out during that time frame. So either it comes out in June, between now and June. It can come out at any time. A new version of Final Cut, major version, the 10.5 version, the Final Cut Pro 11 version, whatever the heck it's going to be called. It's going to come out between now, WWDC, or I think it'll come out in September, October next year. But we don't know about any more events. The FCPX Creative Summit has said they're going to do something tentatively next November, which it's been every year so far in November, except for 1 year it was in October. So let's listen to our clip from Michael Cioni. This is from behind the room. This is not the formal clip. This is just behind the room so you can see the audience and everything. Talking about Stockholm Syndrome.
Happy to be here, really excited, and definitely want to talk about, I think, an important subject for all of us, because it's going to transcend a lot of different categories. And the way that I'm sort of identifying it is from a personal perspective. This idea, do I have Stockholm Syndrome with Apple? Is there a psychological appreciation or attachment to this company that is affecting my choices, my behavior, and my responses, and my predictions, and my hope, and my desires, and my actions, and my words? And that's kind of what Stockholm Syndrome is. If you think about, I know it's a funny way to look at this thing, because we're going to talk a lot about emotions, because emotions drive what we do.
So what do you think about that statement? Emotions drive what we do. When Final Cut Pro 10 came out, 10.0, it was all emotional. Everybody was emotional about it. Emotional. I didn't get emotional about it. I'm not one of the people. I'm not interested in arguing with people on Facebook and Twitter. That's not something I do. When you argue with somebody, neither one of you rarely change the other person's mind. It's just really a waste of time for the most part. Now, having a discussion, that's a different story. You can have a discussion with somebody who talks about things in a respectful manner, an intelligent manner. But arguing, I'm not interested. Let's see what else we have here. So one of the things that we had in this, I think this was 2017, maybe 2018, is Faster. LumaForge Faster Together had a private party that you could attend, which of course I did. They had it in a hotel room, and here's a little clip from that. I'll play two clips from that. The first one is with Patrick Southern and his friend you might recognize.
So, if you're watching this live right now and you've been watching LumaForge all day, in fact, the last 3 days, it's because of this guy. 32? Well, it got reduced to, I think, 31. Oh, a measly 31 presentations orchestrated, scheduled, and put out not only recorded, but a majority of them live streamed, is this guy right here. So if you're watching right now, I want you to clap at home for Patrick Southern right here for putting all this on. Thank you, Patrick. Thank you, Michael. You're welcome.
And your name is?
My name?
Thomas. How do you not know? If you don't know who Michael Thomas is,
Michael,
you haven't been paying attention.
I'm going to give him a plug.
Michael Thomas. MichaelThomas.com or my tech web series, 5things.com, where I explain technology.
Which I really like.
Thank you. Thank you. Tell your friends, like early, share often.
Absolutely. Don't forget to subscribe to 5 Things either. It's a pretty awesome show.
All right, now we're going to do something you can't do, and that's drink with everyone else. So we'll see you later.
Of course, that was Michael Thomas, 5 Things series with Patrick Southern with a very small beard. Very small beard. I asked Patrick if he had his beard checked for the coronavirus. He said he has not, but I think he should. I think he should before he can cross state lines. So what are you all doing with the lockdown or the stay at home? We have a excuse me. We have a stay-at-home order. Excuse me. We have a stay-at-home order in Maryland right now where you have to stay at home unless you're going grocery shopping, going to the doctor, something important. You can't just go out and socialize and go to clubs and stuff. So let me see what else we have. Here's another clip. This is from, I'm not sure what year this was. This was 2017, I think. Let's watch this one. Michael Horton.
Michael Horton, Richard Taylor.
Well, hey, Richard,
I'll meet you after all this time.
No, Richard and I talk all the time.
All the time. I've written all the articles.
I'm sorry, I didn't even, because I noticed.
What you know? Hey, well, it's hiding my face.
It is not your face. Hello, Richard. What the heck is that thing?
It's a conglomeration of things that I've...
It's not even the iographer. That's your conglomeration.
This was a Kickstarter. The frame was a Kickstarter.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then these are little attachments
That's really
I searched
cool.
for. Well, it's also...
That's a neat thing to start a conversation and go, hi, what the hell is that?
Everybody looks at it. It's also... It goes...
Oh, it's a selfie stick, too.
And you can put it on tripod.
That's cool.
Or you can put it on tripod, which is a small little tripod. I got a mini tripod.
We got to take a shot at that.
So hey, we're on this fast tour. We got to get back to the Lumiforge. I'll see you tonight and tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night.
I'm going to be at the FCPA thing.
If you're going to be at the group gathering, I'll see you then.
Yeah.
I figured you would.
And if you want a couple of postcards to give out to people?
We're doing the same thing, but yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, definitely. I'll
Sure. We could use 150 more people.
Okay. We'll see if we can get them for you. All right.
Okay,
Let's
thanks.
continue on.
See you guys.
See you later, Bill.
The thing is, if you get caught in the conversations, you never...
Michael Horton dancing. I'm glad I had the camera going for that.
Where is it?
Michael Horton dancing. I'm glad I had the camera running for that. So we have another person from Cape Town, South Africa, Peter Mann. Welcome, Peter. I'm glad you could make it for today's episode of Final Cut Pro Radio TV Live. I've been doing this 4 years, something like that, since 2016, a little less than 4 years. We have logged, Final Cut Pro Radio TV Live has logged over 70,000 views on social media. Now, we broadcast to Facebook, YouTube, and Periscope all at the same time. So that's one of the advantages that we have. I use, my main software that I use is Ecamm Live. I really like that. And then I have a subscription service that streams it out to the 3 different networks: Facebook, and YouTube and Periscope TV. So that's how I get to all three going at the same time. So if you have any questions about Final Cut Pro that I perhaps can answer, actually there was one that I'm going to bring up. So I've seen this a couple of times in the last week or two, where people get audio popping in their timeline. They say that the audio popping, there's nothing in the waveform to indicate there should be a pop, and they also say that it plays fine in QuickTime. From what I understand, Final Cut Pro does not have the ability to cache audio as it's playing back. So if you have a filter on it, or if you put a 44.1 kilohertz audio into a 48 kilohertz timeline, you very likely can get popping in Final Cut Pro 10. One of the things that I've discovered recently, and I wasn't really paying attention, is the iPhone natively, not using Filmic Pro or anything, but natively records at 44.1 kilohertz, the audio, in the native camera app. And I use the native camera app quite a bit in the iPhone 11 Pro Max that I have. I use the native camera app, so my audio is always 44.1, and my stock project setting is 48 kilohertz. So I haven't noticed any popping, but I know other people have, and the first thing I said was check your audio settings. The project is probably 48 kilohertz, but the audio, if it's 44.1, Final Cut Pro can have an issue where it pops, clicks, and pops trying to play that back in real time. And that's just the way that Final Cut Pro currently does audio. One of the things that I'm expecting in 10.5, I'm expecting improved audio performance and improved audio whatever features. I know some people have talked about a roles-based mixer. That would not surprise me at all if they've finally figured out how to do a roles-based mixer. Peter Mann says, why does FCPX lose render files? I'm not sure what's causing that if you're seeing that. I don't use render files. I'd never render in the background. I always turn that off. I just export. It'll take care of rendering on export. I'm not sure why it's losing them. Maybe you made an adjustment somewhere and it threw them out. I don't know specifically. So let's just see. We played that one. We played Mike Horton dancing, of course. So here's last year, 2019, Faster Together, LumaForge had a Faster Together stage, a giant stage. They basically took over the Super Meet on Tuesday night. And I have an important clip I want to play for you from the Final Cut Pro marketing team coming up. Let's watch the Faster Together stage clip that I have set up right now. This is from 2019. Obviously, this is when people were just coming into the place where they had things set up.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome from the YouTube channel TLD, Jonathan Morrison.
Now, 3, 2, 1, go. There we go. Yeah. There we go. Keep it going, keep it going, keep it going, keep it going. Someone jump. Yeah, there we go. That's great. Almost. There we go, my God.
There we go.
My name is Michael Cioni, and I'm the Senior Vice President of Innovation at Panavision. I was the founder of Light Iron. Every time I come to NAB, somebody doesn't come and says, I don't need to go to NAB. I decided to make a list of reasons not to come to NAB so that you can be used. This can help all the people that didn't come. So everybody watching that didn't come, I'm going to even help you make reasons not to come to this place. You know, I don't need this new tech. I don't have time to sort all this stuff out. I don't understand it, or especially the situation of, it's just way too crowded. So these is obviously great reasons not to come to NAB. So congratulations for not showing up, because obviously we don't need to be here.
Well, we can add one more reason not to come to NAB, especially in 2020, to add to Michael's list. I'm not sure if he writes his own speeches or if he has a crew or some people to write him, but he's always entertaining. Every time I've seen him, he has incredible things to talk about. Last year was why I shouldn't go to NAB. Of course, he was already there. So one of the other things that people talk about, and they've been talking about it for a while, is that Apple has not been at NAB for a long time. It's not true. Apple was at NAB in 2017, and Apple was at NAB in 2018 publicly. They had public presentation from the Final Cut Pro marketing team, and each time the room was filled up in NAB, in the NAB Convention Center. Here's one of the lines from that. This is 2017. This must be 2018. I mean, look how long the line is. There's my friend Steve Martin.
Yeah, exactly.
How's it going?
All right.
We'll let these guys in here.
Just look how long this line is.
Exactly.
Final cut exchange.
Oh, yeah. No, this is only
You might see yourself in line. Here's Wes Plate, works for Apple now. This is all waiting in line to see the Apple presentation. There's Brad.
They said you can't come in.
That's probably good. Yeah, that's
Step
for the
out
best.
of the line.
I made sure of that.
It's probably for the best, but I'm going to try to sneak in anyway.
Okay.
Richard, got Oliver Peters right here.
Hey, Oliver, how you doing?
Hi. Well, doing good. Tired. Long day.
All right, so that was the line in 2018, 2 years ago, to get into the Apple presentation. The room was pretty packed. It was pretty packed. I'm going to play a clip from inside there. Now, they don't allow you to film in these presentations, or I'm not even sure if you can photograph anymore. And the reason is because it's not really set up for video production. It's not set up, it's not lit for video production. The audio is echoey in the rooms and stuff. But this clip I'm going to play you next is from 2017. Now, this part of this clip has already been shown, but I'm going to play the more of the clip for you so you can see more of what was going on there. This has already been viewed, 7,000-8,000 times on YouTube. So let me see where that is. Here we go. This is more of inside the room, but once again, this was 2017, and they think they clamped down in 2018, maybe I think 2019. They said no more videotaping inside. This was before they said that, but it did get a lot of views and it did get a lot of press.
Just a couple of things before we finish up. For those of you here that are in education currently, if you're studying maybe at second degree or third degree, we've introduced a really good bundle for education customers. It's available on the Apple Store, online store for education. And what you get is all 5 of our Pro apps. So Final Cut Pro 10, Motion, Compressor, Logic Pro 10, and Mainstage for the bundle price of $199. This is available to any college students, or if you're faculty for any education institution, K-12 or higher education. So just something worth mentioning. And finally, before we finish up, as all of you probably know in this room, we always like to talk about various milestones that we've reached over the last 5.5 years since we first introduced Final Cut Pro 10. So it's a very great pleasure for all of us at Apple today to be able to announce for the first time here in this meeting that we've now reached 2 million seats.
That was in 2017, 2 million.
That we went much faster from 1 million to 2 million seats than from 0 to 1 million. So not only is it gratifying to reach that kind of customer base, but also to see how rapidly that customer base is growing. So that's it for our presentation. We are working on some really cool new stuff. So keep your eyes on Apple. And we're not quite ready to talk about it right today, but there's always interesting things coming.
There's always interesting things coming. That's what I'm saying about the next version of Final Cut Pro 10.5. Listen. 28 months, they've been working on it since 10.4 came out. Of course, there's going to be something interesting in it. It's a major, major update, whatever it is, whatever they call it, whether it's 10.5 or Final Cut Pro 11, whatever. If they drop Final Cut Pro, I don't really care. It doesn't make any difference to me, really. But it's something major is going on. That this is not a normal update cycle. They've been working on something under the hood or whatever, or rewriting the code. We don't know what they're doing. 10.0 to 10.1 took 30 months. We're at 28 months now between 10.4 to 10.5. So that's a long, long time. The last feature update they had was 18 months ago. I think in the fall of 2018, they brought out 10.4.4, but that wasn't a full number update. It should not have been. It had some cool features, but it wasn't as much as a full number update would indicate. If you ever watch Logic Pro, right? If you ever watch Logic Pro updates, incredible, absolutely incredible, the amount of updates that they bring out. As a matter of fact, let me pull this up here for everybody. Since Logic Pro is now available for 90 days, I've assembled this list over there at FCPX.tv, all things Final Cut Pro 10. Logic Pro 10 for Final Cut Pro editors. Master list of Logic Pro 10 resources for Final Cut Pro editors. So what I've assembled here is all the things you might need if you wanted to dive in. So Logic Pro is available for 90 days now. And the training is Groove 3 is the top site that I recommend because they have nothing but audio training. They have extensive, let's go look at, they have extensive training for, oh, there we go, saves 33% on a 1-year pass, downloads and books. Get it now, 33% off. It's it is, let me search, let me type in here. It's normally $150 for a year. So now it's like, what is it? $99 or $100 for the full year. You're not restricted to one category. Look at all these Logic Pro 10 tutorials that they have. This is why I use them. They have more than anybody else. Tons of Logic Pro 10. They go back to Logic Pro 9 and Logic Pro, maybe even Logic Pro 8 as well. But they have more Logic Pro tutorials than anybody. They even have, there's Pro Tools there as well. Like I said, this is all audio. So groove3.com, and they have a sale right now if you want to get over there. That's what I'd recommend for Logic training. But anyway, of course, Ripple Training has Logic tutorials as well, and I certainly can recommend them. They're one of my favorite tutorial people. Mac Pro Video also has it, and there's also Logic Studio Touring. Once again, let's look at some more of these. So Logic Pro 10 for Final Cut Pro editors, FCPX.TV. So the training is there. Ripple, Groove 3, Ripple, Mac Pro Video, Logic Studio training. YouTube. There's 2 master classes you can look at. Now, they're probably mostly do with music, but there's still information you can glean out of there. Logic Pro 10 features for Final Cut Pro 10. That's what we just looked at. These are places on YouTube. Logic Pro Rules, Dance Tech, Michael Pigsley, Music Tech Help Guy, Logic Pro X tutorial, everything you need to know, audio editing tools, etc., etc. And there's some books, Logic Pro 10, training resources, Logic Pro Help Online, graphically enhanced manuals, etc., etc. Just go to FCPX.TV on the main page, and it is right there. Just click on that. Master list of Logic Pro's resources for Final Cut Pro editors. While you're on the main page, FCPX.TV, send your feedback or request to the FCPT team here. Click on that, and it'll take you right to the form. That's where you can go. So if you forget where to send the information to Final Cut Pro to the team, just go to FCPX.TV. It's very simple. Right on the main page. All right, I think that's all the clips for today. I do have some more clips available. I probably have, like I said, 10, 15 hours of NAB footage that I've filmed. A lot of it behind the scenes stuff that I'll be, if you like this, I'll do another one of these this week. I was planning on having some friends of mine on the show, but there's no announcements at NAB, at least not that I've seen. Let me just check Twitter here. I don't think there's anything on NAB. Let me just check. So one of the things that certainly that people are talking about with Final Cut Pro is these $700 wheels for the Mac Pro. Now, I'm glad I got mine when I did. The wheels were only $400 at that point. I didn't get wheels because my Mac Pro is sitting on my desk, and there's no sense in having wheels. What I did was I got the stock feet, and I have them on a cloth, a cotton cloth, so I can actually turn the Mac Pro to get to the back. I have it sitting parallel to me, but I have all my cables in the back. I have 8 Thunderbolt 3 ports, and they're almost all filled up with stuff. Now, I have 2 RAIDs that I have plugged in. I have hard drives that are plugged in. And I also have a PCIe USB card. So Alex asked the question, when 10.5? We don't know. 2020 for sure. 2020 is coming out for sure in 2020. But I'm going to say they might make an announcement between now and WWDC. Let me just check over here and just make sure they didn't sneak it in on us. I don't see it. I don't see it. Over here in the updates category, I don't see it. So not yet. Let's just look for Final Cut Pro. So there it is, Final Cut Pro. There's Final Cut Pro. It's still at version 10.4.8. This is some of the places that I check. .2 rating. What's new? There's plenty new. But 10.4 version history came out a long time ago. Here you go. 10.4. It says 2 years. It's actually not 2 years. It's 28 months. That's how long ago it came out. So 10.4, 1 year ago. No, it's not 1 year ago. It's 18 months ago. They had all these things that happened in 10.4.4, but it's still not much compared to a full number update. And if they wanted to call it 10.5, they could have called it 10.5. They did not. And then 10.4.5 there, 10.6, 10.7, 10.8 was a minor little thing back in December. 10.4.7 was Metal 2. We all know about that. So when is 10.5 coming out? When do you think? Place your bets right now, 10.5. I don't know. Between now and WWDC is my first guess. And if it doesn't come out between now and WWDC, then I would say probably September, October, which at that point it's going to be 32 months old, 10.4, since 10.4, 32 months old, 33 months old. Who in the heck knows? It can come out at any time. Apple does not need a presentation to release Final Cut Pro, a new major version. They'll have a press event. That's all they'll do is have a press event. Let's check the press office while I'm here. Let's see if there's anything going on at the press office, Apple press office. I checked the newsroom. No, there is not. Just talking about the iPhone SE. This is one of the places that I check for any press release. So they've had, let's just do a search here. They've had press releases for Final Cut Pro 10 before. Today at Apple Press. Latest news, Apple Press, defending Jacob. There's nothing there. Nothing we're interested in at this point. So when is Final Cut Pro 10.5 coming out? I'm sure it's coming out in 2020. We're in the 4th month of 2020 already, so if they want to release it at an event or around an event or just mention it at an event, WWDC, it's in June. They're having a virtual version this year. That would be a time that they could release it. You have the 10th year anniversary of Final Cut Pro on June the 21st, but they've never released a major version on that anniversary. As a matter of fact, they kind of ignore it. They don't even mention it, I don't think. I don't recall them ever even mentioning it. So that is unlikely. Okay, I think that's it for today. If you have any questions, you can follow along, of course. Well, I'm on Facebook at Richard Taylor TV, but don't do a friend request there. Just, you can follow. FCPRadio.com. I have a new podcast coming out. I've been podcasting for 15 years. I have 1.2 million downloads at this point. Over there, FinalCutProRadio.com. I have a new version of Final Cut Pro Radio podcast coming out probably this week. Probably within a week, within 7 or 8 days, I should have one out. FCPX.tv, you can find out all things Final Cut Pro there, breaking news and stuff. And of course, YouTube.com. Let me turn this one off. YouTube.com, Richard Taylor TV. So whatever you do if you're on this, if you're staying at home, everybody's working from home, everybody wants to do live streaming and stuff. There's a couple of things that I recommend doing. Number one is, of course, if you want to learn a new skill, that's fine. But don't just spend all the time that you have off in front of a computer sitting down. Get outside and go for a walk. Even in Maryland, where I live, where there's a stay-at-home order, there's no stay-at-home order for going out and walking. You don't need a mask. You don't need gloves or anything. You can go out and walk. I do walks all the time. I did one this morning. A combination walking, running. Getting exercise is not just about getting exercise. I know for walking especially, it's good mentally. It helps clear up if you're not feeling well or you're worried about things. It helps clear that stuff up. I've been doing that for a long time. I used to ride into D.C., but I don't on the metro, and I'm glad I'm not doing that anymore. Who was planning on going to NAB this year? Anybody in the audience right now? Were you planning on going? This was from a few years ago. This was the FCP Exchange at NAB 2017. We saw some of the footage from that. This was Apple product marketing showcasing professional workflows and case studies utilizing FCPX. That was official Apple. Tips and tricks to maximize Final Cut Pro from pros and developers, networking and interaction with fellow Final Cut Pro editors and enthusiasts. That's what we used to have in NAB. Apple's been there 2 times officially there doing presentations, Apple in the convention center. They were actually in the convention center. I showed you some footage from inside one of those rooms there. But they didn't show up last year in 2019. They also didn't show up at the FCPX Creative Summit in 2019. They just didn't have anything to show, is what I presume. So, well, they were at the FCPX Creative Summit. I mean, we went to see them over at Apple HQ, but there was no new version of Final Cut that they presented at the FCPX Creative Summit, which they've done in the past. They've introduced new versions of Final Cut Pro. 10.4 was introduced at the summit. 10.3, I think, was also the summit. 10.4 at the summit. 10.2 might have been at NAB, but they haven't been very upfront about what's going on with Final Cut Pro, and there's no real reason why they shouldn't be. I mean, last WWDC, they showed us the Mac Pro, which came out 6 months later. So they showed us the Mac Pro. They gave us an update. They said there's going to be a new version of Final Cut in the fall for the Mac Pro. Since then, it's been radio silence. There's been no information forthcoming from Apple about the new version of Final Cut Pro. Well, we know there's a new version coming, but we just don't know what it is. I do expect audio to be one of the big things. I mean, it needs I think, a bit smoother audio workflow. And I'm an audio guy, so. All right, everyone, I think I'm going to head out of here. So if you like these, this is one of the things, the scrolling ticker here on the bottom. And at the top, this one. Those are both made with Ecamm Live. That's it. I'm using a beta version of it right now. It's been very stable. This is the 9th, the 8th. Is this the 8th or the 9th? This is like the 8th live stream I've done in the last 8 days. I've done a lot of live streaming, probably about 10 hours worth with this beta version. It's working very, very well. Ecamm.com. All right, everyone. My name's Richard Taylor. You can find me. Just go to YouTube or Facebook. There's the YouTube address, Richard Taylor TV. Facebook is the same, Richard Taylor TV. Twitter, Richard Taylor TV. Also, FCPRadio 1. This has been Final Cut Pro Radio TV Live. We're over 70,000 live views at this point of FCP Radio TV Live. We're approaching 100,000 views. That's across Facebook, Periscope, and YouTube. It's all the social media sites. I have an Instagram site. I don't know what to do with it. Do you guys have any suggestions? I mean, I got like 1 or 2 pictures up there, and that's my Instagram is also Richard Taylor TV. Maybe I'll do a little more, post a little bit more. My name's Richard Taylor, everyone. Thanks for tuning in, and stay tuned for the next episode of Final Cut Pro Radio TV Live. Oh, one more thing. I constantly see people asking about getting good audio into the iPhone. I do that. I use the iPhone all the time, and I know how to do it. So stay tuned for a tutorial on getting quality audio into an iPhone. All right? Thanks for tuning in, everyone. I will talk to you next time.